Welcome to the PMI pod. I'm your host, Gemma Penkethman, and today I'm joined by one of our very own advisors, Mr. David Levy. David, thank you for joining me today. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much indeed. Having a good day when it's not raining outside.
Yeah, well, I'm up north, so it's always raining here. I just wanted to get you on for a bit of a chat, David, because obviously, you've been advisor with us for quite a while now, and thought it'd be interesting to hear a bit more about the business and how it's grown for you. So, do you want to start by introducing yourself and telling me a bit about the business?
Yeah, sure. My name's David Levy. My company's called Private Medical Health. Kind of does what it says on the tin in some ways. Um, I started the business just over 10 years ago, because I came out of a previous um, job. I was in the city for 35 years, and after coming out of there because I was too old, too long in the tooth, didn't want to get up early anymore, decided I had to do something for the rest of my life. So it was, I kind of thought about this because I had a friend that used to have a business and he sold it previously to me, kind of thinking about it. And I said, okay, can I do this? And I thought to myself, medical insurance, I like administration. I'm a frustrated doctor and should have been in my life. And I like helping people. Let's put the three of them together. So that's so I did. And I went to a friend who had a small network based up north, and he helped me kind of set up. And I went through him and get some training and understand all about the market. I've been FCA regulated through being in the city for 30 odd years. So I kind of understood that side of things and the compliance side of things. But from there, I thought, okay, let's see how I do. And let's see if I can do something in this business to one, make a living, because that's always going to be number one.
Yeah.
Number two, help people. I like helping people. I like speaking to people. I like, you know, understanding what are their wants and needs in the industry and how I can help, especially as looking around, doing my research on the business. You get different types of broker out there and different types of doing business, which is in every area of business. You've got the one side, which is your corporate, and the other side, which is kind of a personal relationship side. And
Yeah.
so looking after that. So I started the business 10 years ago, and then kind of grew very slowly. And in 2021, I moved over to the Right Mortgage. And from there, the business grew on a different trajectory, to be honest, and has grown immeasurably since then to where I am now, with quite a large customer base of a mix of individual and company business.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. I mean, obviously, I've only seen the growth whilst you've been with TRM, but that's really impressive. And so when you were in the city job, was that anything related to private healthcare at all?
Absolutely nothing
No.
whatsoever. I was, for anyone who's listening that is of the age, if you remember what the future's life floor was like, and funny coloured jackets and people waving their hands in the air, or looking at a trading room down at Canary Wharf with 1,000 people around you all trading and shouting and screaming. That's what I did.
Wow.
And so very, very different.
Yeah, completely different. But I liked what you said about, should have been a doctor and like helping people. And because that's really similar to the reason I sort of fell into private healthcare as well. I enjoyed the element of helping people and I enjoy the healthcare side of it. But my role was very different before as well. So it's always interesting to hear what people's backgrounds are before they quite often accidentally fall into this industry.
Yeah, I don't know if it's out of choice. They do accidentally fall. To be an advisor working for yourself, I don't know, do people have the trajectory to go into it and do it? Or it's not from a young age, I don't believe they do.
No.
Because I believe you should be uh, to build trust. Maybe you've got to be older, and I don't know if that's the wrong or right thing to say. Some people would disagree. But if you've got somebody who's 22, 23, 24 coming to see you to advise in something like this, which is quite a deep dive into personal circumstances, I think the first step for a young person who does want to come into it would be to go to work for one of the bigger aggregates, consolidators,
Yeah.
corporates, call it what you want. But then if you want to come out and be an advisor by yourself, and there's different routes to market as well on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it's less about like a defining age and more about just how much life experience you have, really, isn't it? And usually with age, with life experience comes age, or the other way around. um,
Yes, yes.
but I think it's the life experience that helps you to kind of have those client conversations, isn't it? And particularly when it's around health. But you, I mean, you're very successful as an advisor, and from your perspective, what do you think the key to that success is? Is it the people? Is it the relationship building? What do you think it is?
100% it's relationship building. You kind of, I didn't think about this when I first came in. It's kind of naturally came from who I am and what I do is what kind of brokerage you want to be. And you don't
Yeah,
know what kind of brokerage you want to be when you first come in and you've only got one or two clients and you're looking out for business and you don't know if you want to be a company broker, individual broker, how you want to kind of go forward. And most people aren't going to have that plan to say, I'm going to be that. If you are, very good. But how does it evolve and the way your business grows and evolves and if you want to be organically growing, then it came to light looking back. I was always a relationship broker versus transactional. So in that way, I'm thinking to myself, if I help people, then I've done a good job. And that's self-marketing because I've never marketed my business and never advertised. A couple of tiny things at the start, but I haven't gone out and done any lead generation, advertising, LinkedIn, or any social media push out or anything SEO, even though everyone's screaming at me because of my name, I should be doing SEO. But I kind of, that's cold calling to me, and I'm not a cold caller. But I'd rather the other way around, a business comes to me. And that's hard because when you start out a business, who's going to come to you? Who's going to trust you? Do you have the knowledge? Do you have the experience? Do you have the wherewithal? So from there, I wanted to be a relationship broker. I think that's the person I am growing up. It's how I was when I was in my old job or my old industry and years ago. Do I want to chase the dollar? Yes, we all want to earn money. Do you want to
yeah,
quickly earn money and chase that dollar? But then what have you got? You've got the money, but have you got anything ongoing? Have you got substantial? Have you built something? So I thought, okay, let's build a long-standing relationships and do a great job for everyone I do. And if I do a good job, and they know I've been happy to do a good job, and I can sleep at night because of that, because I've advised well. I couldn't sleep at night if I hadn't advised well, if I've kind of taken someone on and said, I'll just put them on a new model,
yeah,
or I've moved them over, not understanding there could be exclusions applied, or how do they do it? I know when they go to claim, I'm going to be shouted at. And it comes down to, have I had any complaints? No, because I am extremely diligent to make sure, and I drive the client mad because I do it right and do it right first
yeah.
time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really interesting what you say about not doing any marketing and going off recommendations and referrals from other clients because I think when people start up a business, probably the natural thing to think is, right, how can I market this? And it's like, that urgency to get the name out there and get it marketed. But what you're doing is playing the long game essentially. It's, building up that really good quality of relationship and reputation, which then leads to those referrals and the quality of your book, growing and developing in the future. And I really like that. I like that way of going about it. It's good.
I will come back on that and say there's a mixture out there of people that do that. And everything is okay for each person if that's what their belief is and what they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
believe there's no wrong or right. It's just how you feel to do it.
Yeah, completely. And that comes back to what you're saying about what kind of advisor do you want to be? How do you want this business to look? And there are people that do it the complete opposite way, and they rely heavily on marketing, particularly in the beginning. But yeah, the way you've done it has worked for you and it's aligned with your values. And yeah, it's brilliant. So with our newer advisors, what do you think they could do to start talking about healthcare more confidently? So this is particularly for like the people that come to us that haven't really got the experience in PMI. So they're coming to me, I'm training them up on PMI, we're developing them and helping them to grow as a network. What advice would you give them to help them talk about healthcare more confidently?
Two, two things in the
Okay,
main. On the top, I'll say
go
two
on.
things. Number one, know your client. As
Yes.
in, speak to them. Yes, you do. Don't go on and just do the fact find and then go off. That's a bit robotic. Find out about your client because it's between the lines and between the conversations you learn the most.
Yeah.
Because you need to learn two things from your client: health anxiety and risk factor. Where's their risk factor versus health anxiety? Because at the same time, then that converts into what do they want to be covered for? And then that comes down to affordability at the end of the day. Some people retire and say, I'd rather have health insurance and not go on holiday. Other people will say that's ridiculous. You've got to live your life. Some people want to be over-insured. Some people want to are not bothered. They say, I just want cover for the big stuff. You learn your client over time what they want, and that conversation in doing the fact finding, having a chat with them, tells you everything you want to know. And call it holistic view, be as corporate as you want, but don't be corporate. You want to, what's the word? You want to schmooze the client because you
Yeah.
want to build the relationship, and you're not just a yes man, and you'll butt up against them and tell them what you think, and be honest with them and say no. Sometimes no, you don't need that, or you do want that, and that's the good advice. Secondly, is understand your product, build your relationship with the insurers to understand the product because you need them. You really need them more than anything. And if you understand the product, which is always ever changing, there's always things going on, Bupa are ever changing, all the time, and they look at their product. So if you know your product and know your insurers, you can confidently speak to your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really agree with what you said about, getting the relationships with the insurers. As someone that was a BDM for the insurers myself, I said to all of my advisors, make me your best friend. You are going to need to lean on me for things. There's going to come a point where you need a favor for something. And, our relationship is my priority. And I think that should be the case for all advisors. Get your relationships with your insurers as tight as you possibly can because yeah, it's invaluable to lean on them. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And hopefully that's what I've done. You do get the different insurers, how they work.
Yeah.
You'll get the people like, there's no favoritism, unfavoritism. It's how they work. Bupa do change their BDMs quite often and how they do things. Other companies keep them on, keep the relationship on going no matter where you go and where you change.
Yeah.
So when I changed from the previous network to this one, I should have changed BDM with a couple of insurers, but I requested that I keep the relationship with the same BDM because I think that proves longevity and it gives the broker more validity and it gives the insurer, I think it's better for them. But some disagree with that, some agree. It's a game, everyone looks at it a bit different.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone works differently. I mean, across the network, we've got different advisors, different company setups, and it's all about finding your way, isn't it? And I think that's why it's really useful to hear from yourself, David, because everyone does have that different setup and different experience. And it's useful for people that are coming to us new to PMI and coming to me as a trainee, it's nice for them to be able to hear about your experience and hear how your journey has gone. And yeah, maybe that'll help shape their journey as well. So, one thing I was going to ask you, what do you think is a common misconception about PMI?
Okay, again, I'm going to go with two things here.
Okay.
The first one is, and what everyone thinks about PMI is price. It's
Yeah.
too expensive. How am I going to get covered? I can't afford it. It's not something I can do. People have a different attitude to insurance in general because you want to pay out or you want to have insurance, but please God, you'll never claim. So is that
Yeah.
wasted money? So everyone has a different aspect to it, but price is generally the first thing. Now, how much is it going to cost me? It's going to, it's ridiculous money. I've only heard bad things. But no, everything could be tailored and you
Yes.
can reduce and play around with your options and cost containment to have some very good cover in place for the big stuff without worrying about the small stuff. And again, comes down to health anxiety, health risk, and
Yeah.
risk attitude. So that's the first common misconception. The second one is the NHS. Well, there's actually three, so I'm going to go back again. The second one is, well, I use the NHS. Okay, if their condition means it's not urgent at all whatsoever, and they can wait for the NHS because it's free, then they use the NHS. Most people aren't patient. There's very few people that are in the world, especially because we've gone into a now world because of social media and the digital revolution. That's a different podcast. And and then really there that how what do you think I'll use the NHS and blah blah blah, but if you want now you want to go and see the actual consultant rather than the registrar, you get to choose your own appointment, you get to choose when you go, you get to park in the car park, you get to say hello to a top consultant in a carpeted office, that kind of thing, and everyone has a different view to that, and that's mainly where individual PMI comes in, people who aren't on corporate policies because that's what they want, avoid the NHS delays. Thirdly, I've been speaking to a lot of people, they say, oh, I don't need cancer cover because the NHS cancer cover is great. Yeah, it is good. Again, speed, but what people don't understand is what private cancer cover gives you is access to drugs that are not available on the NHS. They
Yes.
might be authorised on the NHS or regulated by the NHS, but because of cost, the NHS can't give them. So, and other aspects to that where private turn around and say, yes, the NHS go, let me check on that.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite a common misconception.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going back to your first one around price, I think that's a historic one, isn't it? It's coming from back in the day when PMI was seen as a more elite product, and now these days it's far more accessible, I think, with things like you were saying about tailoring the benefits, the hospital lists as well. With the introduction of things like guided option, there's more ability to tailor that as well. So I think, yeah, that one's a very historical misconception and one that people don't necessarily know has changed in more recent years, particularly post COVID. But certainly in the time we've been in the industry, the last 10 years, it has become a more accessible product, I think, price wise.
I totally agree. I think the biggest thing to happen by the insurers is to introduce the guided area
Yeah.
and to give a discount for that, which helps the insurers commercially,
Hmm.
but it's no different change to most of the members.
Yeah.
Because if you say to a member, again, postcode out, we're in my area, it's very different. I've got a glut of hospitals around here, and I've got a lot of clients that want to choose their own consultant because they want
Mhm.
the best.
Yes.
But if you go to a member and say, are you precious about who you see? I'd say 80% of them will go, no, I just want to see a private consultant.
Yeah,
There you go, bang, do the guided option, no brainer.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I remember when the guided options first started coming in, and some people, some advisors really didn't want to know, they really shied away from it. And now it's just not possible to do that because everyone will talk about it. It's a lot more common play in the market to discuss guided options and to have them. So yeah, it was an interesting move when they introduced those.
Absolutely. I think there's lots of other things they're doing now with preventative, as you know what Bupa's doing recently.
Yes, yeah,
The others will follow. Bupa always lead. The others will follow, but they won't follow so much because they don't have the balance sheet to do it, especially
yeah.
the smaller ones. But AXA will follow Bupa, Aviva will follow AXA, and Vitality will play with the subject on different areas.
Yeah, I mean, I did think Bupa's recent developments with the breast cancer pathway and the fact that they were talking about potentially covering preventative mastectomies, that's a huge step in the market. It's a huge change, and like you say, others are going to have to look at their options for it. Prevention's a massive topic at the minute, and even though we're talking about private healthcare, it does obviously interlink with the NHS in the sense that we kind of support each other. There's things the NHS still has to do that the private care doesn't do. But the NHS plans for the future, the government plans for the NHS plans for the future over the coming 10 years are all centered around preventative care and trying to look at prevention and in the hopes that that'll take the strain off the NHS, I presume. But of course, whatever the NHS does, we kind of have to look at as well in the private sector. And prevention really does seem to be a hot topic at the minute across many providers.
Completely agree, and then you'll have some arguments in there. Again, I'm not pointing to one provider in general, but if you look at how Vitality set their stall out, it's
Mm,
based on prevention over
yes.
everything else.
Yeah.
And for the last 10 years, and people are like, what are they doing? They only want young, fit people because they're giving all this Apple Watch status, um, gyms, and they advertise the fact. The others do it, but they don't push it out front.
Yeah.
And Vitality have, and they're only different guys. The other ones are coming and understanding prevention in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people have criticised Vitality in the past for potentially thinking it's a bit gimmicky to lean on all the reward side of things. But actually, what they are trying to do ultimately is preventative. It's preventative healthcare. It's trying to support the members to prevent longer term conditions and serious conditions. So yeah, as you say, they're all looking at prevention just in different ways, but it is interesting. It'll be interesting to see how things do develop over the coming years.
Agreed.
So, yeah, I mean, we went off completely on a tangent. I was mentioning about price and I just went off on one. But yeah, so your points were price being a misconception, urgency around, access to care. I mean, the NHS, one of the main things for me with private healthcare is the speed of a diagnosis because it's the diagnosis piece that can wait forever on the NHS. Firstly, you've got the obstacle of having to get in with the GP to discuss your symptoms. And then, depending on how they perceive the severity, you've then got waiting for the test to be done and then waiting for the results to come back. So, I think people's perceptions of the NHS have changed since COVID because of the issues that have occurred since COVID. Um, and the benefits of having that speed of access to treatment in PMI, I just think are fantastic. And the fact that we can now make it more affordable is even better.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I ask the same thing to everyone that I speak to on the podcast. And this is about a claim or scenario that sticks with you. So everyone in healthcare tends to have either a claim or a situation that sticks with them kind of as a good news story or as a this is why PMI. So have you got a story for me?
I have. And it's one back in 2018, I was what 2 years in, and call it wet behind the ears, up to you. And I do still, I'm one of the rare people that still go and see some clients because some of the older generation like to see face to face. They don't want to, especially don't do it over the screen. And sometimes you can do a lot more in half an hour to an hour with a client face to face than you can do on a phone call.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them don't understand. So you've got to sit there and you've got to go through it. And they like that cup of tea and a chat and that amazing personal service they give them. And that's part of my makeup and the ethos of what I do. I went to see this client. She was a bit older, in her late 60s, and she was going, listen, David, I don't know if I can afford this anymore. I go,
Mm.
well, she goes, I don't really have any health issues. And I think I'll be all right by the NHS, and I don't think I can afford it anymore. So, well, let me kind of look at your policy. I won't tell you who she was with, that's unfair. And I kind of pared it down for her to give us some outpatient,
Yeah.
a local hospital, but still have the cover for the big stuff to a level where she was very happy. 2 months later, she calls me. She says, thank you very much, David. I said, why? She goes, I've just been diagnosed with stomach cancer.
Oh,
So I
no.
said, okay. And then I kind of kept in touch with her and her daughter over the next year as she went through operation after operation after operation,
Wow.
fully covered by the insurance. And at the end of it, with the drugs that were available and the operation she had, and these drugs got to the expense where they were unavailable by the NHS because she was looking at that because her policy kept going up. Obviously, I did a year.
Yeah.
Um, but she's in remission and living a good life. And
Wow.
she said, David, without you, I think I'd be dead. So, and it was when a customer says thank you, you leave the office in the evening with a happy smile on the face.
Absolutely. And that is fantastic because, imagine you'd not given her the advice, you'd not tailored the quote, you'd just said, all right, well, it's unaffordable, that's the end of that. Then what? Because it could have taken a lot longer to get her diagnosed. The treatment would have been very different, as you say, about the drugs potentially not being available. Yeah, that really could have been a life or death situation. So that is incredible.
I've got more stories against other brokers who haven't been diligent in finding out
Mm,
from underwriters what they're doing. I haven't, you know, I've got something covered for a client that another broker didn't, and the broker's
yeah,
threatened to report me. And I went, go for it, because I know I'm right.
yeah,
I know if you are diligent as a broker and do your job, it's irrelevant what comes out the other side. You've done a great job. And if you've
yeah,
done a good job, you should be happy.
yeah, absolutely. I love that. That's wonderful. Thank you. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today, David. I really appreciate it, and thank you for joining me. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. So, if you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time on the PMI pod.
Thank you very much.